All right, welcome guys to the NBA live stream. We got 6 games to go over. This is I actually kind of like this slate. So if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. We'll take a look at what we know so far as injuries go. Take a look at the Vegas odds, go team by team, talk about players I like, and then get to questions at the end. So let's start with what we know so far for today's slate. And I'm just going to scroll up here from the beginning of the day. So Gary Trent Jr. out, not big news. Paul Watson out, not big news. Porzingis and J. Rich doubtful. That's pretty significant. Also, a lot of other Mavs are questionable. J.J. Redick questionable. Robert Williams still out. Lou Dort is in. Let's see. So yeah, Luka questionable. Dorian Finney-Smith questionable. Kleba questionable. They all played last night. Kleba did only play about 10 minutes though, so I would say he's maybe more on the doubtful side would be my best guess. The other two, I think it's pretty 50-50. That will obviously change the entire slate. It's the late game, so it's tricky. You can play for them to be out, and then say we get news that Luka and everyone else that's questionable is out for Dallas. I don't know, 20 minutes before that Dallas Golden State game tips off. Then you're probably going to get Brunson and Hardaway at somewhat low ownership, and they're going to be two of the best plays of the slate. So that's one where you could leave 2 spots there realistically and just hope that everyone's out for Dallas. Goga is out for the Pacers. Jeremy Lamb game time decision. That is pretty significant for a guy like Edmund Sumner. If Jeremy Lamb is out again, then I think the Pacers continue with an 8-man rotation, which makes them all look pretty good in my opinion. All right, so we got the Thunder starters of Maldon, Dort, Pokusevski, Baisley, and Moses Brown. So let's take a look at these Vegas odds. We got the Bucks and the Hornets at 225.5 over under. The Bucks 9.5-point favorites. Thunder and Celtics at 216 over under. The Celtics 11-point favorites, even with half their team out. The Nets and the Raptors, it's a 231.5 over under. The Nets 5-point favorites. And then are those all the games we have out right now? Let's see. Okay, so yeah, Pacers and Blazers 242 over under. 5.5-point favorites. The Blazers are, and then Rockets T-Wolves, another game I like, 234 over under. The T-Wolves are 2-point favorites, and the Mavs and the Warriors at 223 over under. The Warriors are 5-point favorites here. Maybe looking into those odds, maybe it's leaning towards Luka doesn't play. Maybe, I don't know. So that is where we're at so far as news goes and Vegas odds. What's going on, guys? Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you. Some Broderick Thomas merch out. What's up, DK? How's the day been? Going good. Just got off work, ready for NBA stream. So yeah, excited for this one, or NBA slate. Yeah, the Dallas value. Carlisle trolled all of us and ran an 11-man, 12-man rotation. That was no fun. A lot of yesterday's slate was no fun. The Paul George blowout. You had Gafford playing 10 minutes. No fun. All right, so 6 games to go over. We are at already 200 viewers and 41 likes, guys. If you're coming in, leave a like button. Let's aim for 100 likes on this one. And yeah, I'll jump right into it. What do you do for work? Financial software company I do for daytime job. All right, so Oklahoma City and Boston Celtics. On the Thunder side, there's really not much here on the 6-game slate. There's a lot of really good plays. I would say in the mid-range on the slate. There's a couple spin-ups that are viable. And a lot of the Thunder guys are just priced in the mid-range. I just have a hard time getting to any of these guys over, we'll get to it, Portland, Indiana, Minnesota, Houston. There's just, even some Boston guys in the mid-range look really good in this slate. Honestly, OKC is probably a team I'm just going to stay away from. So I am probably just, again, crossing this team off. On the Boston Celtics side, a little bit different. Tatum out. Kemba out. Robert Williams still out. So Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, one of the best plays of the slate. He gets a massive boost without Tatum, without Kemba. He's going to be the number 1 on offense. It's a great matchup. The Thunder team is not good defensively. So I think the only thing you have to worry about here with Jaylen Brown is if you're playing tournaments, that is. I think he's an optimal play, right? He is an optimal play today, no doubt about it. The two things you have to worry about for tournaments. One, he's going to be the absolute chalk. He's going to be super, super popular. And if the game blows out, then, obviously you're in trouble. And that's the second thing, is the blowout. It's still an 11-point spread with a couple of guys out for Boston. So those are the two things you have to worry about, is the fact he's going to be super, super popular and the fact that there is some blowout risk. Other than that, again, he's a clear optimal play in my opinion. So, love Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart at 6.6K I also think is a really solid play in the mid-range. I'm curious to see what Boston does with the starting lineup. Does Smart start the point? Do they move Pritchard in the starting lineup? We'll see. If Marcus Smart does start the point, that does boost his floor a little bit. He'll have the ball in his hands a little bit more. So I think Smart's a pretty solid play in the mid-range. But if I'm prioritizing one guy in Boston, it is definitely Jaylen Brown over Smart. Tristan Thompson doesn't make sense at that price. No thank you, and Evan Fournier. As far as the rest of the Boston value, I don't know if we have to do it. There's going to be low usage guys that'll get minutes, like Semi Ojeleye, like Langford might get some run. Grant, we have a lot of these guys that they can dust off for 15 to 20 minutes. I mean, if I'm going to take a shot on one, it's going to be Jabari Parker, but it's just the minutes right now are not really there for him. It's 12 to 14, but he is a guy that actually has upside. It's just the minutes. I don't know if they will go higher than 15. So for Boston, I don't know if I get to the value. Maybe Peyton Pritchard if he starts. Pritchard would be the one guy I would consider, I think, if he does start. If he comes on the bench, just a viable, just like a tournament dart throw. So that is where I'm at for Boston. Milwaukee and Charlotte, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is a really solid spend up. Optimal build-wise, might lean towards more the balanced build, though, on the slate. Again, there's a lot of good plays, like I said, in that kind of mid-range, but if you have the salary to get to Giannis, I think he's one of the safest, maybe the safest play on the slate, and should play about 35 minutes. It's a great matchup. I guess, there is a little bit of blowout risk here. What's the 9.5 point spread? Yeah, so a little bit of blowout risk, maybe not as much as Jaylen Brown, but Giannis, if the game stays close, should play about 35 minutes, and again, stuffs the stat sheet, great matchup. So do like Giannis. The rest of the Bucks I'm kind of staying away from. They're all secondary plays. There's just too many good plays in the slate for me to really get to Drew or Middleton or DiVincenzo. I just don't think it makes sense. On the Charlotte side, so a couple guys that I think are intriguing here for tournaments. I don't think there's anyone I would get to for as far as optimal build. Rozier is one guy I kind of like for tournaments. He's gonna fly under the radar, right? We have a lot of good plays at this price range. The thing with Rozier is the upside is there. He can go for 50 plus. He can go for 60 plus even. Milwaukee plays pretty fast, and the Hornets are still shorthanded without LaMelo, without Gordon Hayward. I think Rozier is going very overlooked in the slate, but I do like him for tournaments. I do. He'll be low owned, and the upside is there still. So Rozier, sign me up for tournaments. Bridge is a little bit too pricey for me. Graham, McDaniels, probably not going to get to. I don't think I get to the value on Charlotte. The only other guy I mentioned here is PJ Washington. What are we going to get from PJ, right? I don't know. Most likely he starts. If he does start the 5, that's a bigger boost to him. Be careful, though. If he's going to be popular, I'm fine going elsewhere. He struggles with foul trouble at times, plus the fact that randomly he'll just not play. He just played 13 minutes against Chicago. So that's the risk there with PJ Washington. But those are the two I think I look to for tournaments. All right, so we got some news I think in the chat. Let me refresh this. So Kevin Durant expected to start and have his minutes limit increased. All right, so we'll talk about KD, but now again that's another play in the mid range. He's not really priced up. That's another play in the mid range that I do like. So we'll get to that. Durant now looks pretty solid at his price. Portland, Indiana, probably my favorite. This and Minnesota, Houston are my two favorite games to target on the slate. So we'll start with the two guards for Portland. I think are both GPP only plays in Lillard and CJ. But both have upside. I think if I'm going to pick one, might give the edge to Lillard. He has shot 8 of 22 and 8 of 27 last couple games. I think the recency bias will lower the ownership, but this is, again, one of the best matchups. Pacers, this current Pacers team, they play no defense. They'll play super fast. So that's why the over-under is over 240. I think Dame is a good tournament play. And then Yusuf Nurkic I like a lot in both formats. I mean, just look at the Pacers front court, right? It's going to be Jakar Sampson, O'Shea Brissett, and maybe a little bit of Keelan Martin. They're all, I think the tallest guy there is 6'7". Like, Nurkic should be able to feast here. He's gone for 50 plus in back-to-back games. I still really like him here. Should get about 30 minutes. One of my favorite plays this slate. You guys know I'm a huge Nurkic fan as always, and he almost won me a GPP on Friday. Love Nurkic here. The rest of the Trailblazers kind of secondary plays. I'm probably not going to get to anyone else. All right, the Indiana Pacers. So, what we know, Sabonis out, Turner out, and Goga is out. We're still waiting on Jeremy Lamb, which actually is pretty significant for a guy like Edmund Sumner. So, do we have that Lamb news yet? No. Bruce Brown out a couple games. Okay, that doesn't do much anyway. But I guess I didn't even realize he was injured. Okay, so let's talk about the top two guys here for the Pacers, and Brogdon and LeVert. And I think he's going to go low-owned again, and that is Malcolm Brogdon. And I really like him again. So if you played him like myself that last night against the Magic, you got him at pretty low ownership. If I recall, I think he was like 10 to 15%. He was on pace for like 65 fancy points, and the game blew out like it basically does every time any team plays the Magic. But this game projected to be close. The Trailblazers, like the Pacers, don't play a ton of defense. And Brogdon's usage is just insane right now with all the bigs off the court. And he's playing huge minutes. So even at 8.8K, I think this price point might scare some people off. It doesn't scare me off. I really like Brogdon once again. Karis LeVert, I think, is solid as well. Would prefer Brogdon to LeVert because Brogdon has the higher floor with the peripheral stats, but LeVert still firmly in play. Again, in a close game, bullshit play about 35 minutes. So both Pacers guards I like. Give me Brogdon over LeVert, though, at a similar price. McConnell, secondary options for me. The bigs. So lock and load Jakar Sampson for early foul trouble once again. It's just guaranteed. I've played him last couple slates. He's picked up 2 quick fouls in both those slates. So pretty much a lock. He's getting in foul trouble again. I mean, that is the risk. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think we get about 25, maybe 30 minutes from Jakar Sampson. Like, he's not a phenomenal point per guy, but he's a min-price, starting center in an up-tempo game. I'm still fine going to Sampson. The only thing you have to worry about here really is just potential for foul trouble, which is real. So I'm ready to tilt the Jakar Sampson foul trouble for sure. But yeah, I think he is, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he looks like a good point per dollar play, 3.2K. And then O'Shea Brissett is now priced to 5K. I don't love the price point here, but I still think he's viable. I think we get around low to mid 30s minutes. He'll play a little bit the 5-2 when Sampson's out there or not out there. So, O'Shea Brissett is still a solid play. Again, the Pacers, the last couple games, they've run an 8-man rotation. 8-man rotation. So, assuming that Jeremy Lamb is out, then we can get to a guy like Edmund Sumner, who has played 34 and 37 minutes the last couple of games. Assuming there's no Lamb, again, I think we get the same 8-man rotation. I think we get similar minutes for Sumner. So, if that is the case, and we get 35 minutes again from Edmund Sumner, I think he's a pretty good value play at 4K. And then you can even make the argument for any other guys in this rotation, that being Justin Holiday at 4.6, who I think probably hovers in the mid-20s minutes, more of a contrarian play. And even Doug McDermott, I think more of a GPP play because the minutes recently, and he's reliant on the scoring. But again, you can make the argument for anyone who's in this rotation for the Pacers. All right, so Brooklyn and Toronto. All right, on the Brooklyn side, so Kevin Durant, now that we got that news that they're going to increase the minutes limit, we don't have what it is exactly expected to start and have his minutes limit increased. He played 28 minutes last game. If I had to guess, I would say about 32. I think about 32 minutes from Kevin Durant. At 8.3, that seems too cheap. So Kevin Durant now, in my opinion, one of the better plays this slate. I do like him a good amount. Much prefer him to Kyrie. Not saying Kyrie is out of play, but there's a lot of good guard plays on the slate. So Kyrie more of a contrarian play. Durant, I think, playable in both formats and looks good, again, in both formats. And the rest of the Nets, I just don't think it's necessary. Like Blake and DeAndre Jordan will kind of split the center minutes. They're both fine values, but neither stands out as a great play. Moving on to Toronto. So on the Toronto side, the top 3 guys, what we know, like this year, they've all been inconsistent. All 3 should play mid-30s minutes, but production-wise, like they've all been up and down. Now, this is an up-tempo game. I think the Raptors are going a little bit overlooked. If I had to pick one guy from Toronto, I just go with the cheapest of the big 3. So the cheapest is Kyle Lowry. He's at 7.2. He's my favorite play in the Raptors, and it's just because the price point, right? It's just because he's the cheapest. That's the only reason. All 3 are viable plays, but all I think are more secondary options. Kem Birch, I'll pass on. All right, Minnesota and Houston. This, again, one of my favorite games to target. So Karl-Anthony Towns, if I'm going to spend up for someone on this slate, it's probably Karl-Anthony Towns. Should play mid-30s minutes. Fantastic matchup. Not scared of Kelly O or Christian Wood in the defensive end. So I really, really like Cat at the top. Edwards is fine for tournaments. Also should play big minutes. Peripheral stats-wise, sometimes he's score independent, which does make more of a tournament play. Now, D'Angelo Russell at 6'3", I think is a little bit too cheap here. He's playing about 30 minutes off the bench. Again, great spot. If he's going to continue to play about 30 minutes, the 6.3K price is just too cheap. Plus the fact that you get a really good matchup. I like D'Angelo Russell a good amount. Now, I think he's going to be popular. Is there some risk here? Sure, right? It's a back-to-back. Maybe they limit his minutes a little bit. Maybe he only plays like 25. It's possible. And again, he's going to be popular. But assuming we get similar minutes, I think D'Lo's a really good play. And then last guy I'll mention here is McDaniels at 3.6K. If you need a punt play, I think you could do worse. 32, 33, 34 minutes. Again, up-tempo matchup. Doesn't, have a super high ceiling, but he can probably get you, 15 to 25 fancy points, which, again, I think makes him a fair value play. Moving on to Houston. So, Christian Wood, I do like at 8K. I think might go a little bit overlooked, but should play, again, big minutes. The Rocket starters are playing huge minutes in competitive games. This game should stay competitive. Two bad teams going up against each other. So Wood, I think, is firmly in play at the top. I like Kelly Olynyk, too, at 6'6", who's been playing really, really well. So both Houston bigs, and then Kevin Porter Jr., I really like at 6'5". Again, no John Wall. He gets a pretty big boost with Wall off the court. Should play, mid-30s minutes. Again, fantastic matchup. So I really like KPJ in the mid-range. One of my favorite plays in the slate. I'm fine with Jason Tate as well. As far as the value goes, I don't know if it's necessary. Like, Daniel House will be available. Not sure how many minutes he plays. I'm probably not going to go there. But, as far as, Armani Brooks, KJ Martin, I'm probably not going to do it on this slate. All right, so we got one game left. Let me refresh Fantasy Labs, make sure we're up to date with everything, guys, and then we can get to some questions. Got about a little over 10 minutes left. So Lowry, Van Fleet, OG, Siakam, and Birch starting for Toronto. That's kind of what we expected. All right, so Dallas and Golden State, final game. This is tricky. Okay, so all about how are you going to attack this slate? Because we have J. Rich, we have Porzingis, both doubtful. Don't expect them to play. Klebo only played 10 minutes in the game last night. I'm leaning towards he doesn't play. And then you have Luka, which is huge, questionable, and Dorian Finney-Smith, questionable. So, if all these Dallas guys get ruled out way after lock, then you're going to have some really, really good value plays in guys like Jalen Brunson and Tim Hardaway Jr., and then even some bigs, right? Trey Burke got dusted off, and he played 28 minutes kind of out of nowhere. So, you're going to have a lot of good value if, everyone's out for Dallas. But again, the tricky part is it's a late game, so we might not get this news for a while. It depends how you want to attack the slate. What you could do, and what I'm leaning towards doing, is I'm getting a good amount of exposure, I think, to this Minnesota-Houston game. And then, if we get news that everyone is out for Dallas, then I at least have a little bit of flexibility. Then I can maybe throw a Hardaway, maybe a Brunson in there, right? I can throw some value plays from Dallas in there. Who, again, if everyone gets ruled out, they would look fantastic. So I think the first two guys I would get to, if everyone that is questionable is out, would be Brunson and Hardaway. And then Trey Burke would even look good. You could even make the argument for some of the bigs as well. Now, assuming that Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Maxi Kleber are all in, then I think it's two guys for me. Then I think it's Luka and it's Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, I don't like playing Tim Hardaway Jr., but he's played about 30 minutes the last couple games. He's reliant on the scoring. That is the risk. But 13, 20 shot attempts in about 30 minutes, he's going to get a ton of shot attempts up. It's just a matter of will he make his shots. It's an up-tempo game, though. So, Hardaway would still be viable either way. Obviously, it would look way better if Luka's out. And then Luka himself, if he gets ruled in way after lock, he's going to be really low owned, right? I don't think anyone's going to play Luka. Recency bias, 47, 44 fancy points, but this is still a really good matchup, and he's still got upside. Now, Porzingis being off the court doesn't really help him a ton, but it's just an ownership thing, right? If we get that news that Luka is ruled in way after lock, he is going to be probably 5% owned. So, yeah, I think he's a sneaky tournament play. And then finally, Golden State. So, Steph Curry, I think, is a good GBP play. I don't know if I get to him in a cash game setting, but the upside is there. Draymond Green, you guys know I love playing this guy because he has the triple-double upside. Is he a must in the slate? No, there's a lot of really good plays on in the mid-range, but he's still viable. And then Wiggins, Oubre, secondary options. A couple of viable value plays. I think Looney and Toscano Anderson. I think they're both safe. Looney should get about mid-20s minutes. Again, decent point per minute guy. And then Toscano Anderson, I think, hovers around 25 to 30 off the bench. They're both playable below 4K. So Toscano, Looney, both viable value plays. And that is where I'm at for the slate. So let's refresh one more time. Make sure we're up to date with everything. And, okay, Jeremy Lamb is out. So, circling back to the Pacers. They've run an 8-man rotation last couple games. Now I think Edmund Sumner is a really good value. Again, you got both bigs. Probably I prefer Sampson to Brissett for the price. And then obviously Brogdon, LeVert at the top. But really, you can make the argument for any Pacer that's going to play, which is going to be, again, Brogdon, LeVert, McConnell, Brissett, Justin Holiday, Sumner, McDermott, and Jakar Sampson. All right, so let's get some questions, guys. We got 10 minutes until lock. We hit 400 viewers, so thank you, guys. Wow, that is crazy. Lamb is out, yep. Jabari Parker or Bismack Biyombo. If I'm going to take a shot on one of those guys, it's going to be Jabari and just hope he plays a little bit more. KD or Wood, DK? Yeah, that's a tough question. I like both a good amount. Oof. Might lean KD, but that's like I do like Christian Wood. Okay, that's a tough one. Kenrich or JTA for cash? Yeah, so I think I go to Kenrich isn't starting, or is he? Wait, let me go to Thunder. I've kind of just glossed over him. Yeah, he's not starting, so I'm not really considering him. They moved Baisley down to the 4. I would go Toscano Anderson there. All right, Luka will likely play. They're trying to stay out of the play-in tournament. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say he's leaning towards playing, but yeah. You like KD for 9.7K on FanDuel? Not really. More viable on DraftKings for sure. Is Durant really worth it? Durant is not a must. I do not think he's a must play, but I do think he's a pretty good play at his price. Sampson, 2 quick fouls. Again, I might go DFS. I mean, I already know what's going to happen. I literally already know. I have Sampson in, and I'm just ready for the 2 quick fouls. I'm just ready for it. You're going to get the, low-owned Sampson, foul trouble from me tweet right away. That's just going to happen. Curry and Oubre or Durant and Jaylen Brown. I think it's got to be Durant and Jaylen Brown there. Bro, do I fade Jaylen Brown? It's a risk for Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown is an optimal play tonight. The way you fade him is if you think that game blows out, which is a possibility. Dame, Jabari, Burke, or D'Lo, THJ, Brunson for tournaments. It would just be the second one, and hope that the Dallas guys are out. I think Tim Hardaway is playable either way. Brunson, again, they just trolled us with the minutes. He went on a stretch where he was playing 30 minutes consistently, and then even with them thin, 23, 18. Hard to trust Brunson if Luka is in, but if Luka's out, he becomes one of the best plays. Just don't mess with Sampson. You definitely don't have to play him, but he's, again, basically mid-price starting center. Towns or Curry? Towns for me. Yeah, I think Durant looks really, really good. Smart or D'Lo? Ooh, I'll go D'Angelo Russell there. Brissett or DFS? I would rather have Brissett. 3 Pacers too much. That's perfectly fine. Again, it should be an 8-man rotation as long as the game stays close. I think I'm going to fade Jaylen Brown. Yeah, so you can fade Jaylen Brown. It's a super risky fade. I do think he's an optimal play. But there's ways he doesn't get there. There is a way, right? The blowout, I think. If the Boston game stays close, I have a hard time seeing Jaylen Brown not having a really good game. Is my best ball? Yeah, let's just say I'm not in good shape. Everyone in the finals has a fully healthy team. All their stars are healthy, and they all 3 had Westbrook, who smashed and got overtime. Whereas me, I'm missing my top 2 players. I also have less minutes. It's a 2-week stretch, and I have 300 less minutes than the other guys. So it's let's just say it's not looking good for me. So Smart or D'Lo. Are we fading Jaylen Brown GPPs with Dorton play tonight? Again, you can. I would say it's a pretty risky fade. Thoughts on fading Jaylen Brown, Kyrie Irving, and Kat? I mean, there's enough other good plays in the slate where you can fade all 3. Olynyk or Nurkic for cash? Give me Nurkic. If I score under 250 tonight, I might chuck a basketball. Moses Brown, not for me. 400 people, and everyone hit that like button for DK. Appreciate it, guys. Jabari Parker's season. I think the only way I confidently play Jabari if he starts, but knowing Brad Stevens, he'll start Semi Ojeleye or Grant Williams. He'll just do something really weird like that, like he always does. So utility for 4K and under. Yeah, so I think it's Sumner for me right now. He is the flat 4K, and it's just because the minutes recently for him have been phenomenal. Should play mid-30s minutes. I like him. If you can't get to Sumner, then you got like Toscano, Anderson, and Looney. I think are viable value plays for Golden State. And then you go down to a guy Jakar Sampson, I think. You ready for low-owned Brogdon again? I think he'll be low-owned again. Yeah, I do. I'm ready for it because I'm playing Brogdon. Viable to play Brogdon, Sumner, Jakar? I think it is. Dort, since he's the main ball handler. If I'm going to take a shot in one Thunder guy, it might be Dort and just hope he has one of his ceiling games like we've seen recently. DK, do you feel Durant is optimal now? It's tough because there's so many good plays in the mid-range where we have like Kevin Porter Jr., we have D'Angelo Russell, you got Jaylen Brown. He's up there. He's up there with one of the better plays in the slate, I will say. I haven't really messed with roster construction too much because I usually do wait until about like 30 minutes before lock to really mess with things. But I think Durant is one of the better plays of the slate, yeah. Fade Nurkic at center for the late value. You can do it. I don't think Nurkic is a must-play either. I do think he is, though, a guy that has a lot of upside in a great matchup. KD over Wood, yeah, close one there. Evan Fournier, not for me. KPJ or Brogdon. I mean, point per dollar, give me KPJ, but I really do like both. Favorite GPP play, Malcolm Brogdon. I don't think he's going to be super popular. Again, I never look at ownership or projections. I could be wrong. I don't think Brogdon's going to be super popular. Don't sleep on Fournier. It's just not for me on this slate. I'm fading Boston. OKC might be a bad idea, but I'm rolling with it. Okay, Toscano or McDaniels. Give me Toscano there. Cody Martin thoughts. Not for me on this one. Would rather get to the Pacers value. Would rather get to Sumner. Would rather get to Jakar Sampson. I'm not really on Cody Martin. Brogdon or Jaylen, I mean, I think the optimal build is it's probably Jaylen Brown, but I love Brogdon. Like, I am playing Brogdon tonight, so it's up to you. I think they're two of the better plays on the slate. Jabari Parker, I could see it. I could see it, right? Like, Boston's thin. Might have to play a little bit more. We just haven't really seen the big minutes from him. We haven't seen him crack 20 minutes yet. He is 3.3 though. Like, he's 3.3K, so it's like you can take a shot at him. Like, let's just say this. If I knew Jabari Parker was going to play over 20 minutes tonight, he would be one of my favorite values in the slate. I'm just not convinced we will see more than 20. Yeah, that price of Nurk for FanDuel's a little bit too much. Yeah, D'Lo or Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I think you play both for optimal. If I had to pick one, though, give me Kevin Porter Jr. Thoughts on Brogdon, Kevin Porter Jr., Brown, KD, Nurk, Burke, Sampson, and Brunson. Yeah, so you're playing for Luka to be out, right? If Luka's in, I probably can't get to Brunson, and Burke would be a super risky play. Kevin Porter Jr. or Russell, yeah, I think it's KPJ slightly. All right, guys, a couple more minutes. Sorry if I can't get to everyone's questions because it is moving a little bit fast. Grant Williams, not for me. No, don't play Burke. Yeah, the only way I'm taking a shot on Burke is if Luka is out. Then you got like Brunson, Hardaway, Burke to become playable. KD or Towns. I mean, point per dollar might be KD now, but I still like Towns if you have the salary. Cody Martin, I'll pass on. Toscano or Looney, I think that's basically a coin flip for me. Will you be playing Nurk? I'm leaning towards it. Haven't like confirmed it yet because again, I'll mess with like my build more in the Patreon live stream. Smart or Kevin Porter Jr. Give me Smart. Or no, sorry, give me Kevin Porter Jr. Sorry, I do like Smart though. I do like Smart. Pritchard if he starts is viable, yes. Lowry, he's my favorite of the Raptors. He'll be a little bit lower owned, and the only reason he's my favorite is because of the price point. Armani Brooks, not for me on the slate. KD and D'Lo or Wood and Kevin Porter Jr. Oof. Oh man, that is so tough. I guess it depends how you're approaching the slate. Like I do kind of like that Minnesota-Houston stack. So if you're getting some Minnesota exposure, then like if you're getting a couple guys from Minnesota, then it might make sense to go Wood, Kevin Porter Jr. But honestly, like I love both options there. Wood or the price drop on Nurkic. I think I'll take Nurkic for the discount over Wood, point per dollar. Best guard under 7.1. Have D'Lo and Porter. Thanks for daily streams. Super helpful. Hey, no problem, man. So 7.1K for guard. You already have D'Lo and KPJ. Okay, so let's see. 7.1K. I think I'll play Marcus Smart then. Yeah, I think I'll play Marcus Smart. He should play mid-30s minutes. He's probably going to be like the number 2 on offense behind Jaylen Brown. So I think I'll go Marcus Smart there. Brogdon, Jaylen Brown, Sumner, Jakar, Nurkic, KPJ, Durant, Toscano. I like it. Best utility play under 6.7K. All right, so this will be the last question, guys. Then I'm going to get out of here. So 6.7K and under. I think it's Kevin Porter Jr. for me. I do like Olynyk, though. I do like Marcus Smart as well. I do like D'Angelo Russell as well, too. But I think it's KPJ with no John Wall in that matchup. I think we get about 35 minutes in an up-tempo game. So that is our mat. Let's refresh one more time, make sure we're up to date with everything, and then I'll call it a stream. Again, thank you to everyone, guys. We have over 400 concurrent viewers for a, Tuesday, 6-game slate. Cannot thank you guys enough, but that is going to do it. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you guys all have a big night. I'll be back here tomorrow. We got a bigger slate, I'm pretty sure. So I'll be live. I'll have a video up later tonight, and I'll be live tomorrow. So I'll see everyone then. Again, good luck, guys.